runway 34, let's move to land. What do you have? American 518, call the tower 147 once we're established on the center line. Center line, Pelican 5 and vector. 53, Qantas 923. Direct ticket A, Qantas 923 is maintaining 6,000, heading 155, vision with 1, so 34 right, and also 34 left if it does become available. Qantas 923, doesn't look like it. Descend to 4,000 feet, runway 34 right, localizer 109.3 and 18 to run.
Here we are flying in the flight plan for that sim. I'll be flying a United 840 today, so 747 heavy with Q type, which means it's RVSM capable. I'll be flying an average speed of 490 knots across the ground. Might pop up about 500 at the altitude we're actually at, but I've logged it as 490. Departure is Melbourne. The departure time is at 9:50 Zulu, which is a little bit of time from now, because it's about half an hour to get it off the ground. Cruising altitude is flight level 390, since we're heading eastbound. It's an odd level. Here's the actual flight plan. From the Melbourne VOR, we track the H129 airway to Docel. That'll probably be a SID. Docel, I think it's 4 departure. One of the runways, probably 16 or 34. We have Yankee 59, which is high airway to Sydney VOR direct, and we'll probably be expecting the Rivet 8 arrival at Sydney with radar vectors down to the runway. Now choosing fuel load, we're going to be flying for about an hour and 20 minutes, and I want about an hour extra of fuel. We could take 31.3 tonnes. I actually want to be landing with about 23.4, so I'll add a little bit more than that. Probably sitting around the 34 tonnes mark. Now, because we're starting on that sim, we won't be starting on the active runway, so select something else. We are a large aircraft, so I want to be off the international gates, so I'm using the deltas. So Delta 3, through to Delta, whatever it is. Any of these heavy gates will do. I'll take Delta 5 and go fly. I've named it United 747 and 107UA with a SoCal AQBR, which is our SoCal. Of course, selected Boeing 747 with winglets, United Airlines generic, and that's where you put the SoCal for the SoCal to work in Squawk Box. Already sitting on the gates in Melbourne, and we've got the flight management computer waiting. Obviously you can see that the IRS is not aligned at this stage. Got 7 minutes plus to run. Hasn't even started actually. So we're going to enter the IRS position. I'll hearing the message down here. There. Out to the FMC. Select FMC mode. Bring up this page. I'll go to position initialization, which actually has a meaning at this point. As you can see here, we have the GPS position. Last known position. You can also enter YMML to tell it that we're at Melbourne. And we're going to say third option, which is the expected position of the airport. I can take a look at that and see that yeah, it's roughly matching up, 31 to 40, 144.50. The decimal points might be out because we're obviously not sitting right in the middle of Melbourne's airfield. We're off on the Cape. Last position is the last position known to the flight management computer. It might have been towed since then, we don't know. Down here is the GPS position, which should be accurate to within the RAIM. We will use the GPS position today, so I'm going to select the GPS position just by having that. That'll appear up here, obviously. And then you just set the next one down with all the blank buttons. Go for that. And that'll pop in. As you can see, the IRS boxes disappear. Now we go over to the overhead. Choose that one there, and set all of these guys up. We're actually already in align mode. them in nav, and then they'll warm up. That was a quick alignment, just because of the quick turnaround that we've got here. When we do the long trip, we'll probably have to do the full alignment, which takes about 10 minutes. Back at the FMC again, I've done the position initialization. I'm now going to go and enter a route manually into the system. So I'll be departing today from Melbourne, YWML, and arriving in Sydney, YWSY. Various other information you can also put in. We are United Flight 840. Also a reminder for the flight number there. Now I'm now going to consider the fact that I've got no route for the co-route, and so what I'm going to do instead is go to next page, just down here, next page. That will set up this page, which is page 2 of 2 of route 1. We now have the 2, and I want to go out of Melbourne. Melbourne is ML, and there we go there. Here we have a few different versions of Melbourne. We have the VOR, the NDB, and various other places around, some of them even in the Northern Hemisphere. First one is usually the closest one, and in this case it's the Melbourne VOR 114.1, which is what I want. So I select that, blind select, and it appears in there. As your first waypoint in, the next thing to do is enter the airway, which will be Hotel 129. So H129, and line selected into the next blank line. On this side is routes, this side is waypoints. So we'll be hitting that one, and that'll appear in there. Now it's going nowhere yet. What we want to do is track along Melbourne along the H129 to the waypoint called Docel. We'll put down here DOSEL and plug it into that. That'll pop in. Next one is Yankee 59. Y59. So pops in there and put into the next blank space down here. And then more blank spaces asking for it. See how they're boxes that says I need something here. And what it needs there is something like Sydney. So SY for Sydney pops up in there, and then log it in. Link. You see the two things, that means that it's ready to go. It's ready to either take new ones or be activated. You can put lines in either one of these. Obviously if you're going from Sydney via an airway to somewhere else, you can put an airway and the VOR, which is the same as what we did with them up here. The other option is you can even go to a new place, such as no bar, no VAR. I'm going to delete this eventually because we're not actually going to no bar, but for instance, it's just to show you can place a new fixed no bar and it'll go direct to no bar. That means it won't go via an airway, it'll just go from Sydney direct to that waypoint, bypassing any airways that may be there. Alright, so I'm now going to go into the legs page down here, legs, and you get this big long list of lines. As you can see, there's more waypoints here than I've actually entered or had in the route page. There's Melbourne and Docel, which is obvious, they're already there. There's Ebony, Arran, none of them are there. They're Cullen, Towel, Rivet, Sydney, and there's no bar, which I had before. I'm now going to delete no bar, so I can down here and hit the delete button. This only works if it's the last one on the page. Delete, and you can see it's gone. Sydney's now the last waypoint again. Since Sydney is where we're going, that's a good idea. After inserting your route, you are now ready to fly, and you can go about doing so even without saving the route as a co-route. You could also elect to save your route as a co-route, and to do that, you would return to the route page and select the line select for copy route. Once that is done, it'll save the route as a name which consists of two ICAO codes and a number, and they consist of the departure airport, the arrival airport, and a number such as 001. To see more information regarding the takeoff procedures or co-route use, you can look at my earlier video, which is Start and Takeoff Procedures for PMDG, at the following link.